Recording in.
Okay, we're sort of starting in the middle of the stream. I'm Barry DeCicco, and I'm covering my experiences limited with use of AIs, the free versions, to translate SAS to Python, PySpark, Pandas, which I did for my job. The biggest lesson I've got is these things do not learn, or so they don't think they match. They do sophisticated text matching, frequently wrong. From what I gather, the more restricted the code base they have, the more likely they are to be wrong. So if you're looking at something about people on Twitter, there's a vast amount of material. If you're doing something like an obscure language, you may find there's very little material. The chances of these things will hallucinate. They will give you bad code. They'll confidently spit out something that will not work, and they'll confidently spit out something that will work wrong. Which means loading your SAS program into these systems, getting a Python or PySpark or Pandas file out of that and running it is almost guaranteed to fail. So you've got to do this block by block, and you need to have it set up automatically so it exports the data set to SAS or imports a SAS data set and runs a comparison. Go back up. So we've got I'll go back up. It's ChatGPT, ClaudeAI, CodeConvert, which covers several different languages. I'm using the SAS to Python. DeepSeek, and I can't talk about it much here, but SAS to Py, which is supposed to only do SAS to Python conversions. It's a proprietary system. The others are free. By the way, one good thing about these is when you open the web browser and start chatting with them, they'll have a link to the chat session. So, for example, when you're doing code conversions, you can take the URL and put that into a comment in your code. Okay, let's go on. I took some SAS code, simple one, create a data set, calculate some values, and print it. And got the results, and then look at ChatGPT, and got something, we go through again, which produced a data set that matches almost perfectly. The errors are due to the different number of decimal places displayed in the output window. Okay, here's another caveat. When I was first running this, I had put just a marker, put text here in the cell window, then pasted in the ChatGPT, then pasted the ChatGPT, ran it, or put it in the prompt, and it gave me results that did not work. So minor interferences in what you're giving it can result in strange things. In another case, I deliberately induced an error. So in a SAS program, I did not have it create the data set, which is basically starts processing a data set that's not there, and it did spot that. So the moral of that, unfortunately, is sometimes it will spot there, and sometimes it will not spot there. Okay, now I'm going to go through the code produced. So we got ChatGPT. They both import packages. And the trick is when for example, when they define the data, go to the next slide. You notice create list of degrees of freedom. So you have DF values equal to this range. Go back up to ChatGPT. DF list equals that. So one's doing it more generically, one's doing it more specifically. Then create the data frame, then go down. And this had already done that. And you can see it for the next two. Go to CodeConvert. Again, they basically handle creating it, especially it's creating the data set. They all four handle it differently. Right, and you notice, and by the way, this is something forward. The whole point of this is that you have someone who's good at one but not good at the other. I was expert in SAS but not good at Python. Or you're a real good Python person and you look at SAS ones. So you've got what you want ideally is you know SAS, you know Python, and you work well together. Ideally, you put the two together for person. So you're going to have to sometimes play with the prompts and figure out how to get it to produce the answer that you can understand most easily. And what I have not showed here, but we'll add later, let's go down a little bit. Okay, again, this afternoon, one of the things these chats will do, and you'll see it later when I go live, is they will print out an explanation of what they think they're doing. So it gives you some guideline to is how it's processing things. So let's keep going. Okay, so I'm going to go into problem areas. What I found with PySpark, the SAS retain statement, which carries over values over rows. In PySpark, it's two different commands. You have to set up a windowing system and then run over that. And none of these AIs could handle it at all in any way, any shape, any form with PySpark. I showed it to our IT people, and they were actually fascinated. It works well for pandas, which is good for them. But in a sense, the way I'm phrasing it is row by row processing is not PySpark's native language. You can do it, but you've got to do some extra complexity, which you can learn to do, but these could not cope with it at all. Let's see, retain. Okay, so basically, either you're going to, for example, if you're running in pandas, not a problem. But you lose the PySpark advantage, which is a lot of speed. So we got, go to the next one. Complexity. What I found out as you get to more and more complex SAS blocks, the complexity of the output increases a lot. I've had one where it's 20 lines of SAS code. They use an array, retain statement, and several if-then statements within the code. Again, it's not that difficult. It would be something like by the end of a beginning SAS class, you should be able to handle it. And again, it's set up an array of variables, iterate over using the retain statement, use some if-then logic within this. And no, I'm doing 90% of what I was working on was pretty simple stuff, just a lot of it. Very, very, in fact, there's one set I was really glad I didn't have to convert because it was the most sophisticated SAS program I've ever seen. Lots of text parsing PDF results from that. But what happens is you've got this 20 lines of SAS code, maybe even 15, and it produced several pages of PySpark code. And with complex nested functions within this. And then I got a expert in Python to help me work on it. And it took him 4 hours to get it from totally buggy to somewhat buggy. Well, that's the point. The idea is suddenly it produced a block which was all interdependent between it with lots of specialized. It loved using this one. You loved using specialized functions. That's one of the big bad things about SAS to Py. It loves to create its own function. So one of the things is you may end up having to refactor the SAS code or budget for bringing in an expert every so often to get to a difficult problem. So we go to the next one. And you get things like SAS arrays are not, in my opinion, a cryptic language. Once you've been explained, for example, if you're a programmer and someone shows you what a SAS array is, you're like, oh yeah, that's easy, because it's really set up a list of variables with numbers, from 1 to 12 for the months. And then you can use your loop variables. So you can say, subtotal I, total I, tax I. When these things write them, they can write them, but they'll use various cryptic and highly condensed forms of the language, because that's how Python, for example, likes to roll. So you can run that problem where it gives you code that works, but you don't know why. And that's a big one, because you get code that works, you don't know why. We've been interrupted by Doge, but our goal was to have these for several months before the switchover, be running parallel systems across a number of programs. But you're going to need to do that because you'll get stuff that you probably don't understand. And the trick is you're not debugging a program, you're debugging libraries of programs. In that sense, again, one of the models is these things are really, really, really useful for translation. They are really, really far from sufficient. So basically, one thing I didn't do was experiment in prompts. For example, I think in Python, what I should have done is gone to pandas and just check how much I lost and eat it. Because our SAS code, we're used to the idea that some of these things are going to take you know, 12 to 14 hours to do our basic data processing. And I was so, I think I made a mistake here. So amazed by what PySpark could do. You know, this is half an hour, this is 1 second. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so I'm gonna do some live stuff now.
All right, we're gonna have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, let me have the chair and I'll sit down and try to figure it out.
Okay.
Your presence here is not needed until I do something wrong and have to blame you. Okay. Look. Okay. So I'm gonna close this. And go to, by the way, what I've been using is SAS on demand for academics. You do the SAS work.
We probably have to stop share and then reshare.
Okay, well, okay, okay. I'm using a Google Colab document for running the Python.
So I'm gonna stop share
Okay, sorry, I see you made, yeah,
and then,
Now we're seeing there.
yeah. And it's, I think it's, is it this one?
yes,
Let me see.
okay.
It should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just have to move the windows out of the way.
I'm going
Okay.
to close the
So
PowerPoint.
you can see what they see on my screen. If you want.
Okay.
Is it okay if I walk further away? Okay, good.
Okay, it's showing stuff, sorry. Yeah, between me having several windows on one window and Zoom doing what it does best, that's a problem. Okay, so basically what you've got is this presentation or chunks of it, where I've got, yeah, this is a Jupyter notebook running on Google Colab. I figure I'm also going to posit Cloud for the artwork because it's just so much simpler than putting things on my computer and maintaining them. Okay, so what we're going to show you is here's what ChatGPT looks like. Now you notice up in the URL, there actually is, it's keeping track of sessions. So you get some idea of what's going on. And here's what I did was I'm gonna start start a new chat. Go back to SAS.
It's not showing us that one.
Okay,
I think we better, just one moment.
yeah,
Is it okay if I share
Yeah.
your whole screen?
yeah, share the screen. Blue screen, yeah,
Entire screen.
sorry. I was confusing screens and windows. Okay. Get PowerPoint to turn on.
Okay, we got you.
I made a comment once that the hardest thing to do is get a computer system to turn off.
It's not in my screen.
No, I meant was, you know, some of these things, they have so many features to help you.
Yeah.
Okay, so for SAS, what I can say is translate. And it does, I don't know how to make it accept a new line because it's sort of weird. So what it's going to do now is, you know, give me the code. Okay, so it wants to use pandas. It didn't tell it to use pandas, but it did, which is probably the best choice if you don't know what's going on. So we've got this, and we can copy it and we can edit it. And one of the things, it gives you steps and comments, which is nice. And then it gives you, all these things will give you a what it does. So basically it's, this was sort of terse. The others will give you more steps. And as you get to more steps, it'll break down in a sense what it thinks it's doing. You could also say redo.
Detail, you're an expert.
But yeah,
And so,
in a sense, once you type something in, it's in this session, it's keeping track of this. In pure Python, basically this is doing it not in pandas. And then it asks for it tells you what it thinks it does. Again, this is terser than the other ones are. And it asks to see what other things you might want to have done. So that one nice thing is you can say things like modify this or this produces X, which I don't want, and so on. Another thing I've seen in the Databricks AI called the Databricks Assistant is you'll run code, it produces an error, and it suggests a fix. You'll get another version of the code which has the same error. And it suggests going back to the original version. Okay. In my early days using GPS, sorry, I got off the freeway and it kept trying to put me back on, so I spent an hour circling the block. So I'm calling this circle the block behavior. If you think it's circling the block, it's circling the block. So again, we've got the session here, information. You can put this in the comments and keep track of what you are doing. And then the others, for example, this is the SAS to Python one. Basically, reset, stick it in, convert. And this one has less flexibility, or yes, do not use pandas. And then it's going to try and use it without. So that's pretty much what I've got now for you. And then some more suggestions to pad out this thing again. I lost half my presentation 3 to 4 times this afternoon.
what happens if you say I'm the best Python programmer anywhere?
Let's find that out. That's
Okay.
That's the problem that like I said, I know it works well. God, I don't know if there's a good problem.
Let's find out.
But not pandas.
Yeah. By the way, this is a simple SAS code. So I tried to do some more complex things in OneDrive. I said, that looks useful. I'll get rid of it for you.
This comprehension and then
Right.
That in general is not one of the
I've seen, in my experience, I've seen them all fail or succeed. Right. And what you expect also, what you do is you put it in there and then you say, can you redo this with such and such? Or it gives me this error message.
So I believe in your talk title, it said you could also do SAS to R.
Yes. So I've done SAS to R, for example. What you can do is let me restart. Copy this thing and
with API call. I'm not,
yeah,
you know,
right. Also, we're all playing with this.
Yeah.
And the systems are new and the user interfaces are new.
Oh.
And yeah. So again, it gives you a description. Depending on the system, it may give you more bullet points depending how long it is. So it does this, and it's using this in basically base R. and then I can ask it to use the tidyverse. By the way, one of these when I was using it, the table package, it gave me Tribble. And I looked that up, and that's a new feature within the Tibble package, which is more efficient for small data sets. So again, you can play with the prompts. I'd say use all the free systems, experiment with prompts, assuming you've got to do it chunk by chunk, paragraph by paragraph. And then if you think it's circling the block, there's a good chance it is circling the block. It just does not know what it's doing.
Have you tried translating an entire package from one language?
I think I did. It failed so badly, so immediately.
That's disappointing.
I think, or another way to put it was, you know French and you know French law, and I've given you an English document in law. And there's this comprehension problem. Where you've got, so what I'm saying is you can try that, but expect failure. Also, the odds are you're going to run the stylistic prompts where it's using like a really terse thing and you can't ask it to do something better because you don't know. So again, assume chunk by chunk unless you're really lucky. Start with I run the code and you see, does it crash? If it doesn't crash, you run it on the data and you compare the two data sets. So again, you want to have it set up so either you have a command to export to SAS or a command to import the SAS data set at that step of processing and do an automatic compare. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the problems also is, right. And one of the problems is the trick is I'm not that good in Python. So frequently it'll give me something, and depending on how terse it is, it could give me something, relying on list comprehension and a few other things. One way to think about it is someone's doing poetry or something, and they want to get cute with puns, alliteration, and whatnot. So they can do a lot of stuff very compactly, and you have to unpack it. And one of the things I did not play with, it's something I figured out later, okay, I got to play more with prompts to get the right thing. One of the other advantages of using several packages was I was doing this for free. So at some point it's going to run out. If we're sitting there working, there's a good chance that ChatGPT would just say, okay, we're done for now. Call me in 3 hours.
Are they only time you out temporarily?
Yeah. No, it's the free version. You only get so much in a day from the free version. Yeah. Pardon? I don't know because I also had DeepSeek. Yeah. And again, by the way, this is giving me a little bit more information about what it's doing. It's explaining the code better. So, by the way, you noticed earlier when I look at it, it will handle things, the different packages will handle things differently for the same prompt. And you probably need to play with what is called prompt engineering and the different packages to get something that's the verbosity level that you want. Because it could do it type efficiently in Python, but it's not legible. Or it could do it using, rather simple, A, then B, then C, and whatnot. It's like saying if you're starting to learn a language, you're going to do something not the most efficient. You're going to start with something that you can comprehend. And you're going to break it down into more steps and then try to do everything in one command. So you have to find your comfort level with that. Yeah.
Use ChatGPT, just go to ChatGPT.com, or you have to install something on your computer?
I have not. So just chatgtp.com, ClaudeAI, the CodeConvert, and DeCicco. And they should be in the PowerPoint presentation. I put the URLs in there unless they were eaten again. So I'll get those put out after the meeting. They'll be added to the meetup page.
Human languages, like converting between French and English, or Spanish?
No, I have not. I have done things like ask it for instructions, things that you would use Google for help. I've done it several times and got what seemed to be good instructions. My guess is the things that everybody asks is going to be better on.
We train these things all the time.
Yeah.
So they're training on everybody that's asking questions.
Right.
Plus,
Yeah. I've also tried to be courteous on this. And says, how does this work? I'll run it if it works. I said, yeah, this works. University of Michigan has its own ChatGPT. So that's useful. There's one things you're running into. I mean, my boss is very careful, says, don't put data in here because it's all PHI. So I'd put a command in, then let it say this didn't do this right. And by the way, you can get, this is the weirdest error of the day. I'll conclude it with that. We're sorting by hospital. We're sorting by patient, by hospital, by date of admission. And then summing up some stuff. And it depended on the order of these things. But we were doing it by patient, hospital, date of admission. One patient, there's a couple cases where the patients had multiple things happening on the same day of admission. So the last sort on date of admission, there was the same. It's like everything happened July 1st. SAS sorts that one way, Python sorts it, PySpark sorted another way. So in a sense, the arbitrary search was arbitrary and that caused problems.
All right, questions from the back row over here. What are you using? Are you doing this for job, class? What's going on?
Okay. Yeah, so what I'd say, sorry?
clinical trial.
Data, okay. What you're going to run to the AIs is you've got to really worry about PHI. Right. That's the best because otherwise you're just you're dealing with a flask of live viruses and one little slip and suddenly you're in a horror movie.
You can often make a mock data set
Yeah.
to play with.
In the May, our users group, I'm going to be presenting on synthetic data and data profiling. This will be a beginner's thing on it because it's something I want to pick up. And so I'm going to cover how to do synthetic data from a beginner's view of doing synthetic data. Pardon?
When?
Oh, sorry. Our users group is the second Thursday each month at 6 p.m. at Spark, which is down on Division and Liberty.
Pull it up. Show
Yeah,
me.
let me do that. Sorry. Yeah, they went to all that trouble to invent writing for me, and that's why. Oh, let's do this. I asked each of the three about myself.
I think I once asked ChatGPT, where can I find Bluebell ice cream near me? And I think I've made it break because there is none. keeps on expanding the search grid and finding it. It's very sad.
So the results, like DeepSeek, was like, we're not going to tell you about Barry for privacy reasons. He's not a public figure. We're not going to tell you about him. ChatGPT, I think, did the best job. ClaudeAI was like, well, we know what you mean, but we're not sure we mean.
It's slower than.
Yeah.
Well, ClaudeAI was the slowest. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I mean, so it does assist. I don't know anything about that, but here's some good spots to learn. Um, so Ann Arbor, our users group. Where is it? Oh, sorry.
Event.
Well, it's not going to have it because I wasn't sure of the room reservation. No, it's coming up. I just have to, yeah, yeah. There's also in Reddit, there's r/datasets. So there's a whole subreddit discussing datasets. I think like where you can get various things. Yeah. Okay. So this will be, pardon? Okay, do me a favor, send me a link to that. So again, at 6:30, we'll be there at 6. The pieces will roll in sometime about then. Basically, hybrid meeting. I'll be using Posit Cloud, which is the online version of Studio. And by the way, for both Google Colab and Posit Cloud, you can hook them up to GitHub. So, any other questions? No? Thank you all for coming. Okay. Oh,
Wait, before you do anything, let me.
Yeah.
If I can figure it out. If I can figure it out.
Not recording.